All right, so to start our class today on DocuSign, we're actually going to go through Command. All right, so Command is going to link up with DocuSign, so this is how we're going to access it moving forward. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go to agent.kw.com, and then from here, we're going to put inside our username and our password for Command or for MyKW. All right, it'll pretty much be the exact same in this case. All right, so we're going to put inside our username and password for Command or MyKW. All right, so I'm going to sign in real quick. Hopefully you guys are already logged into everything. All right, and then obviously we're currently on our Command homepage. All right, so in order to access DocuSign, the quickest route is actually to go under the handshake icon over here on the left-hand side for opportunities. All right, but before we even do that, just to start with the basics, let's make sure that we actually have this synced up properly. All right, because if you don't have your DocuSign account linked up, all right, then you'll probably need to do that first in order for this to actually pop up on opportunities. So to see if you have your DocuSign account linked with Command, all right, you'll first want to click on your name or your headshot up here at the top right and go to Settings, that third option down. All right, this is where you can actually see all the settings for your Command account and even your connected applications. All right, so in this case, we definitely want to make sure we have our DocuSign account connected in that connected application section. All right, now if you haven't set up a DocuSign account quite yet, no worries. All right, it's extremely simple to set this up, which is the good news on there. And if you already have a DocuSign account, all right, 9 times out of 10, you might need a new one. All right, so I'm just going to give you a heads up on there. You may need a new one in this case. All right, but if you are able to link up your DocuSign account, fantastic. All right, so I'm going to click on the settings option real quick. And then once we click on settings, we don't need to click on any other pages. This first page that pops up is the main one we'll want to focus on. All right, so if you're currently seeing DocuSign up here at the very top where it says connected apps, all right, and then this is connected on here, it says connected current status, and then you can disconnect, you are all good to go. All right, so that is perfect on there. Now, if it says that it's up here in the connected apps, but it says it's pending, all right, you might want to send over that email so you can receive the invite to access your KW account. All right, or of course, if you don't have DocuSign set up on here at all, all right, if you scroll down, all right, just a little bit further down the page, depending on how many connected apps you have, all right, it'll be above social. There'll actually be an option on here for your transaction management. All right, and on there, it'll have DocuSign. All right, and then you'll actually be able to access the Connect Account option over here on the right-hand side. All right, and that'll help out tremendously. All right. So if you don't have that set up, please do that. Obviously, you can still watch along, with the class right now as that's getting activated. All right, but in this case, we definitely want to make sure we have our DocuSign account linked up on here. So that's step 1. All right, so if you do have it set up on here at the very, very top, you are all good to go, and that is perfect. So then we can actually move forward with our DocuSign account immediately. All right, so I always like to start with that just to show you where that's located, how to actually go through and make sure that's connected properly. Now, one thing that you will note on here, if you happen to have multiple DocuSign accounts or maybe multiple email addresses, all right, you aren't able to actually see the domain name that the email is linked up with, whether it's gmail.com, kdb.com, a custom email or a custom website. All right, you're only able to see what comes before the @ sign on here. All right, so obviously in this case, I know Scott is going to be scottleroymarketing.com, so that's perfect for me. All right, but in this case, if you aren't sure as to which one is, your email address you have linked up with a DocuSign account, if you happen to have multiple options that come after that @ like maybe I had Scott Leroy and I have Scott Leroy at kdb.com or Scott Leroy at gmail.com or anything like that, all right, it may automatically sign you in. All right, or if we go over the section today and it asks me to actually sign in, then you can try either of those to see which one's the correct one to use. All right, so let's go ahead and click on the handshake icon now so we can start that opportunity to then link this up immediately with our DocuSign account so we can start to use that right away. All right, so I'm going to click on that handshake icon. All right, and then of course, if you ever click on this KW logo up here at the top left, just a little small Easter egg for you, that'll just push everything out. All right, so if you're more of a, visual person on here and you'd like to see the actual words of what you're clicking on, all right, then you can always click on that to show opportunities on here too. All right, so I'm going to click on this immediately. All right, now the opportunities at the end of the day is going to be what they call your sales pipeline. This is where you can actually see your contacts from lead to close. All right, so not just contract to close, but even when they first are a lead and reach out to you. All right, so in this case, you can actually see them, the entire process that you have for a listing, for a buyer, or even for a lease on here too. All right, so in this case, you actually have 5 different phases, and we have the cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close phase. And then underneath each of those phases, you'll also have additional stages. All right, and those stages are different items you need to do in each phase to move your contact along the pipeline. All right, so that way you can actually keep track as to where that contact is. All right, so we do have an opportunities class that'll purely go over how to actually move everyone along, how to set this all up. All right, so for the time being right now, we're just going to set up a temporary opportunity on here. All right, so I'm going to click on Create Opportunity real quick because we will need to create one in order to access our DocuSign account and to create that room for the opportunity. All right, we'll talk about what a room is in a second too. All right, so I'm going to click on Create Opportunity up here at the top right. There we go. All right, and when that pops up, we're now going to have the option to actually set up this opportunity. Now, anything that has a red asterisk mark, as you can see like on Market Center, Opportunity Type, Client, all right, these are items we will need to actually fill out. All right, so if you're in multiple Market Centers on here, you can actually select which one you want this opportunity to go under. All right, so very similar. I'm going to make a lot of comparisons today to .loop to try to make the transition as simple as possible for you guys, but very similar to having multiple profiles inside .loop. This will help out as well for your DocuSign account, so you're linking it under the proper Market Center. All right, so I'm going to say this is actually under the Little Rock office. All right, and then if you want to set up, obviously, your team opportunity, if you are linked up with a team on command, you can select that immediately. You can select the opportunity type, whether it's listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. So I'm going to use it as listing just for the example purpose on here. All right, we're already grayed out on the owner because this is obviously for ourselves. And then for the client on here, you do have to have a contact in your command contact section in order to set this up. All right, so I'm going to put inside just a temporary contact on here. I think I have Bruce Banner in here. There we go. I got a bunch of Bruce Banners. All right, we'll use that one. All right, and then for the opportunity name on here, I always like to think of kind of making this like the loop name, as you would have done over inside .loop. All right, so whatever you want as that loop name, or in this case, opportunity name, feel free to add that in. Now, in most cases, I usually suggest if you happen to have, a listing, obviously putting inside the address on here. All right, so maybe I want to put inside 123 Main Street, and then I'll put inside dash Bruce Banner so I know who this is for, in case there are multiple 123 Main Streets, which I can imagine there might be out there. All right, now of course that opportunity name can change at any time, so whatever you put inside, it's not set in stone by any means. All right, one thing to note though, make sure you put inside the proper client on here, all right, because that can't be updated. All right, so make sure you put inside the proper client. All right, and then of course below that, just utilizing this, as you can see, we can put inside custom tags to find this even quicker. You can put inside your estimated close date, estimated listing price, commission rate, and then this is where that phase and stage comes into play. All right, so for the phase, it's going to give you the option to add this opportunity into one of the first 3 phases, whether it's cultivate, basically you are working on that lead, appointment, pretty self-explanatory, you're actually in an appointment with them, all right, or active, all right, they are actively a client of yours now. All right, so I'm going to leave it as cultivate on here. And then you can actually change the stage based on the different options available under that phase. All right, so I've updated a couple on here. All right, so that way I can add inside whatever stage I want to. But I'll leave it as that first one. All right, just to get this up and running real quick so we have something to play around with. All right, and of course, if you already have an opportunity set up, feel free to utilize that too. All right, but I'll click on this Create Opportunity option just so I can create this immediately. All right, so in order to access DocuSign from command, you do have to have the opportunity set up first. All right, that is an obligation. All right, now obviously you can always go to DocuSign.com directly and access the room. All right, but more than likely, if you're going to utilize this the way that you probably utilize .loop, all right, then you're going to go through command directly to access that. All right, so in this case, we'll go into Command, Access Opportunities, the same way for .loop, you would have gone into my KW and accessed my transactions. All right, so you're going to see a lot of similarities today, to say the least, if you were utilizing .loop previously. All right, or if you're currently utilizing it, if your Office extended. All right, so once we set that up, this is the back end of our opportunity that we can utilize now. All right, so first thing we're going to see on here, we have all the details, obviously, about this opportunity for us to actually submit this off, whether it's for new offers. Once the offer is accepted, we can actually submit this off for commissions. That's how you'll actually get paid now. It's kind of the new green sheet on there. All right, but then we can actually see under our details, this is equivalent to the View Details section that we actually had over inside .loop. All right, then you can actually see a bunch of different items you may want to add in. All right, information on the property, information on the seller's worksheet. All right, you can see additional info on here about the property too, for the time frame, estimated close date, appointment scheduled. All right, commission rate down here, estimated listing price. All right, just so you can have access to everything. And if you ever want to change any of this, just click the pencil icon, and that'll allow you to change that immediately. All right, so once we actually have this opportunity set up on here, the next big item we'll want to do is click on Documents. All right, so if you're ready to jump inside the compliance portion of it, you're actually ready to submit documents, have other people sign them. All right, this is where you can actually do this. All right, so the Documents section on here is how you can access DocuSign. All right, so once I click on Documents on here, all right, here we go. All right, then this is going to pull up all the different documents that I currently have available on here. All right, let me see if I can refresh this real quick. It looks like this didn't pop up. Hold on one quick second. All right, when in doubt, refresh everything. It's still spinning. That's okay. All right, so typically you'll actually have different documents that'll pop up on here as placeholders for your office. All right, and then over on the left-hand side, you'll also happen to have different folders that your office may have uploaded to. All right, now at the top right up here, though, if you have DocuSign linked up, you will have a Start a Transaction option. All right, so this will say Start a Transaction if you haven't accessed it quite yet for that opportunity. And once you have accessed it, at the top right, it's going to say Go to Transactions instead. All right, so it'll say Start a Transaction if you haven't accessed it, or Go to Transactions if you have already. All right, and then another cool feature over here, for the drop-down, if your office has extended with .loop as well, all right, for this opportunity on here, from the drop-down section, you do have a .loop option on here as well. All right, and if you notice, I had that .loop app linked up in the back end too, over inside my settings. All right, but I'm going to go with DocuSign on here. All right, so I'm going to click on Start a Transaction real quick, and then I'll select DocuSign. All right, because that's obviously what our class is about today. All right, now you might not have that drop-down option if your office hasn't extended with .loop, and you might not have this linked up on here. All right, but DocuSign is going to be the primary one to utilize. There we go. All right, so now I've selected it. Now I can click on Go to Transaction, and voila, it opened up a brand new tab. All right, now this is what I was talking about before. If you don't know what your DocuSign login and password are, you may need to reset that potentially. All right, but if it is asking me to sign in, I'm going to put inside my email address for DocuSign. And then I'll click Continue on here. All right, and then once again, if you don't recall a password, you can click the Forgot Password option. This will actually send you a code that you can then put in, or retrieve actually, from your email to put in over here to change the password immediately. All right, but I should have this. I was playing around with it earlier today. All right, so I'm going to log in real quick once I put inside my password. All right, so I'm going to log in right away. Here we go. All right, so once we click on that, now we're going to access the back end of our room. All right, so we're now currently in the back end of our room. Now, the room is basically, at the end of the day, your folder of all your different contracts, your transactions, everything that's currently going on. All right, so you're going to have different rooms that are going to be for your different, in theory, if you're thinking of it like .loop, like your different loops right now. All right, so I'm just giving everyone a second for that to pop up real quick. Perfect. All right, so first and foremost, at the top left up here, we're going to have our name of that particular room. Now, this name is going to be the exact same name that we have over on our opportunities section to make it that much simpler for us. That way, when we're in our opportunities and we go to DocuSign, it's just going to show that right away. All right, you'll also have your ID, obviously, for that particular room. All right, so if you ever need support on anything, this will help out tremendously. And then you can also see when this was created, too. All right, now up here at the very top left, we're also going to have some information about this particular room that you can access. All right, the details section is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be all the different details that you might want to add in, so that way it can help to auto-populate for you very soon. All right, then of course we have the documents section. That's what we're currently looking at right now to view all of our different documents that are currently in that room for our clients to sign. We'll have the people section, which are the current people that are actually in this room. All right, so in this case, it'll be yourself, obviously, for your particular room, and then anyone that's currently an admin for DocuSign for your market center. All right, the envelope section is actually how you can send out documents for people to sign. All right, so in this case, you're sending out basically an envelope. So think of it kind of like mailing out a letter. That's where they get the envelope from, I can imagine. All right, so in this case, you're sending out a bunch of different documents for that particular person or client to actually fill out. All right, so when you're sending out that envelope, you can actually specify, all right, this is being sent out right now. Who needs to sign first? Who needs to sign second, third, so on and so forth if you're sending it to multiple people. All right, but we'll get to that in a quick second too. And then, of course, we have messages if we want to send messages back and forth or any type of update on it. And then, of course, the history of what's going on inside our room too. All right, so starting at the top left up here, just going through the details section. All right, if you notice right up here under Room Information 1, it says Required to Close, has the red asterisk mark on there. All right, then we can actually view all of our information that we might want to update on here. All right, and to edit this info even further, there is an Edit button up here at the top right. All right, so if I click on that Edit button, now it allows me to update this immediately. All right, so if I want to change the name of the room, if I want to change the side that we're currently on, like maybe currently we're on the list side, but then all of a sudden you actually bring the buyer to the table too. You can change that to list and buy side on here. All right, we can see what it was created under. And of course down here under room 2, certain items, obviously the biggest one would be MLS ID on here, or even how you received the lead as well. All right, you can put inside the status also on here. And then even further down, we're going to have some extra information. All right, what's the address of this property that's currently for sale? All right, further down on here, what are the listing details too? All right, so if you notice, you probably have seen some of this information before. All right, this is almost verbatim to most of the info that you've seen over inside the View Details section on .loop. All right, or if you're utilizing zip forms, or if you're utilizing Form Simplicity, all right, I can imagine they'll have something very similar to this as well. All right, you'll have other items like the offer details on here too. All right, so I'm just kind of going through this real quick just to give you an idea as to what's available. All right, high bid confirmation. And then closing details and additional information on here too. All right, so a question just came in. Would any of this default into the room if it was added to the opportunity? We have not seen that default over quite yet. I'm hoping very soon it will automatically syndicate over just to make it a little bit simpler on there. So like you said, you can just add it into one location and then it'll just kind of, like they're doing with PySync, two-way sync with everything too. All right, now all of this can be filled out. Obviously, once again, only the items that are in red with the red asterisk would be a necessity. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, it's an interesting way they have it set up in the columns. But then you can add inside all the additional information for the sellers, for the listing agents. All right, it'll have it listed right over here whenever you want to add inside their contact information. All right, so I could add inside Bruce Banner. And then I could add inside their email address. I think I have it as, what I have him as, the Avengers at gmail.com. All right, so I can technically update that, and then once I have everything ready to go, I can click the Save option to save it right away. All right, so once again, remember, only the items that have the asterisk mark on here are required to actually close. All right, so I'm going to cancel out on this because I can thoroughly imagine someone has the Avengers@gmail.com on here. All right, so I'm going to cancel real quick. All right, so another question just came in about the property information. All right, so parcel number and tax ID, more likely that'll come directly from the MLS on here. So if you happen to have a brand new listing, I would go ahead and check with the MLS to see if they happen to have that information that you can just copy and paste to add in. All right, so updating this is as simple as literally just clicking that edit option and starting to type in the extra info. All right, so nothing too crazy, but what I always tell people is getting the details added inside here will help out tremendously. All right, so hopefully if you guys happen to have any type of documents that are already auto-populated, this will help out tremendously too. Correct. Yeah, unfortunately this one is DocuSign though, so it's not pulling in on this one. All right, now under the Documents section though, right on here, once you actually click on the Documents section, there are a couple ways to actually add inside documents. I'm going to do a PDF today just because that's the main document that I currently have available. All right, but at the top right up here, you're going to see three different options. Obviously, you see the new topic. You'll see the Add option, which is what we're going to click on, and then there's even the Action section on here too, in case there's anything you need to update in that room. All right, now if we click on the Add option, or that plus sign up here, all right, this will allow us to view any of the interactive documents that may currently be added in. All right, so DocuSign is currently working with the market centers to add inside their documents directly to make them interactive. All right, and then if you also happen to have any interactive forms on here, which you'll see in a second, all right, you can add inside your NRDS number to link that up too. All right, so if I click on the Add option on here, all right, then I can upload a PDF from my computer. All right, I can look at DocuSign forms on here. All right, if you're currently utilizing zip forms, you can pull that up too. All right, or of course you can always import your PDFs from Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive. Personally, I have never heard of Box before, so if you guys happen to have one, please feel free to utilize it. Dropbox and Google Drive are the two big ones I've heard of though. All right, so to start though, I'm going to click on DocuSign Forms. Unfortunately, I do not have any actual interactive forms that I can utilize on here under either Market Center quite yet. All right, and some of you guys might be running into the same thing on there. All right, so I'm going to have to utilize the computer on here, but let's start with the DocuSign form, so in case you do happen to have that, then this will help out tremendously. All right, so I'm going to click on DocuSign Forms real quick to access this right away. So a question just came in about iCloud on there. As of right now, I am not sure if they're going to add that in anytime soon. I just know those are the three big ones that they currently allow for. All right, but in a second, I'll show you where you can actually import documents too. So if you have iCloud linked up on your computer, then you can just import that right away. All right, so the first big one we're going to see on here is where you can actually add inside your NERDS number or your NRDS ID and link that up with your association. All right, so if you sync this up with your association on here, you can click on the Select an Association option, and if it is currently available on here, all right, so I'm over in Florida, for instance, I could click on Florida Association of Realtors, and then I can add inside my NRDS ID. Now, much like with other transaction management softwares, your name has to be the exact same as it is on your MLS. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up. So if your MLS has, I've seen it before where someone had junior, in their last name and everything, but it had a dot at the end, and they weren't putting a dot as their name. All right, so it wasn't accepting it. It has to be verbatim on here. All right, if you have two last names and there's a hyphen, or there's a space, hyphen, space, and then the other last name, it has to be the exact same, otherwise it won't accept it. All right, but then you can put inside your NRDS number on here to link this up immediately. All right, and once we finish with this DocuSign section, then I'll show you where you can actually change your name as well inside DocuSign in case this isn't working properly for you too. All right, so if my NRDS number was 1234567 all right, then I could click that Save option, and that would automatically sync this up, so all the Florida Association Realtor forms would automatically pull in too. All right, so if you are seeing your association on here, feel free to click on it and then add inside your NRDS number. And if you don't know what your NERDS number is, you can find it right here. All right, now if your association is not on here, all right, there is a link that says continue without NRDS validation. All right, then it says, but you might not have access to all your forms. All right, so in this case, then you'll actually just be working off of the forms that DocuSign has uploaded and made interactive with the office. All right, so in this case, I said continue without the NRDS association, and then it says right on here, you do not have access to any forms. Please contact DocuSign Room Support for more information. All right, so this basically just means that the forms aren't currently available quite yet for your office to utilize. All right, so once DocuSign and the Market Center have the forms officially on here, then you can utilize them right away. All right, now if you're able to find any DocuSign forms, fantastic. You can utilize that immediately. All right, but for the time being, I'm going to utilize the computer section on here so I can upload my form right away. All right. So in this case, for the iCloud question, since it's not available, those three options down there, all right, you could just click on the computer, and if you have your iCloud synced on your computer, then you're all good to go. All right, so once I click on the computer option, it's automatically going to pop up with where I can actually search for my documents. All right, so the one that I downloaded today, just to be safe, was over inside my download section. All right, so I'm going to use this exclusive right to sell listing agreement. All right, so that way I can upload it immediately. Now you can upload multiple forms, obviously, by clicking the Shift option or the Control option if you're on a PC. If you're on a Mac, please alert me if I'm incorrect because I'm on a PC. But I believe you can also select the Shift option or the Command option if you want to select multiple ones one at a time. All right, I'm just going to select this one document, though. So we got to make sure it's a PDF on here. All right, and then I'll click that Open button, and that'll help out tremendously. And there we go. All right, so that way we can actually add inside documents on here, too. All right, and I think we should have time for this. I'll also show you how you can go through, change your DocuSign email in case you happen to have it, like maybe someone just emailed over a form to you or a bunch of forms, how you can actually send those attachments as PDFs over to your email address and direct it to this actual room too. All right, so now I have my one form added on here. Now obviously you can add inside any forms you want to. I'm using this as a test example. All right, you can always click on this as well just to kind of get an idea as to what this form looks like. Hopefully it'll start to, there we go. As I say, it might take a little bit to pull up on here. All right, so now we can actually see what this form currently looks like for us to utilize. All right, but if you want to go through and you actually want to edit everything, all you'd have to do, so if you notice when I click on it, it just kind of blows it up and gives me a couple options. All right, but it doesn't allow me to edit it. What we want to do instead is put our cursor up here at the top left and put a little dot inside this circle up here so we can have a check mark on it. All right, so now we have the blue dot, we've got the check mark. All right, then once we do that, if you notice, all of our menu items have popped up here at the top. All right, so previously we had these menu items, and now, of course, all these have popped up too. All right, so this way we can duplicate this basically or copy it. We can actually move it to another room. All right, so if we accidentally added this under the wrong location, for instance, all right, we could put it inside another active room, an under review room, a closed room, or even just your documents. All right, we can go through, we can email this, we can DocuSign it, download it, archive, or unarchive if we archived it on accident. All right, so the one that we would want to do if we're ready to actually go through and kind of doctor it up to add inside those different items to send off to our clients is we can click inside, or not click inside, but we can click on this DocuSign option so we can start to edit it immediately. All right, so I'm going to click on DocuSign, basically the pen icon on here. Awesome. All right, as you can see now, it's thinking right now. All right, and then it's automatically going to come over and it's going to give us our envelope details on here. All right, so for the envelope details, this is that envelope I was telling you about as to how you can actually email out your documents for the contacts to sign. All right, so in this case on here, we can see here's the room number, here's the owner, here's when it was last modified, so literally right now. All right, here's the envelope name, so if you want to change the envelope on here, you can. So maybe I'm going to put 123 Main Street. Bruce Banner, and this is exclusive rights sale. All right, so in this case, I currently have my document. Then I can add inside additional documents if I want to. All right, and then down here, I can add inside my recipients to the envelope, and then even my message that I'm going to send to them too. All right, so the email message automatically pops up as please DocuSign. Obviously, you can change this to anything you want, and then obviously include a nice little message on here. So the subject says please DocuSign. I think I said the message said that. And then you can change the message to anything you would like. All right, so this is just going to be the standard email that you would send out. Now for the add recipients on here, you can actually view the room participants, or you can add inside their own email address. All right. Now the question just came in, do you have to create the envelope before adding fields and changing documents? Yes. All right, so if you want to add inside kind of custom fields on there, you would want to create the envelope first. All right, so that way it'll actually allow you to go through and tweak that. All right, so if you already added inside people under the people section, you can click on room participants, and then this will automatically pop up on here. All right, so that way you can select them right away to add it over. All right, or in this case, I was a slacker and I did not do that first, so I apologize. All right, but I can click on the email address section, and then I can add inside who I want to send this to right away. All right, so I'm going to put inside my name on here. I'm going to put inside a test for the email too. And then much like inside .loop, you can actually specify how they're going to receive this document. All right, whether they need to sign it, whether they just need to view it, if they were receiving a copy. All right, and then of course over here under the More section, we can actually add inside access authentication or a private message form too. All right, now if I add inside another recipient on here, so maybe I add inside a second one. All right, so as you can see, as the sender, you automatically receive a copy of the completed envelope, perfect, but then I can actually specify this is going second. All right, so this actually won't send out to the other person until person number one has opened this, signed everything, and is completed. All right, so that way you can kind of dictate the order that's going to send out to. All right, so I only need one right now, so we're good to go on there. All right, and then down here for the message, I'm just going to leave it as please DocuSign. I'm going to leave the email message on here. Here is the DocuSign document to sign and return. All right, so once I have that completed, at the top right up here, all right, under my action section, I can copy this, I can delete it if I need to, I can save it and close, or I can go on to the next. I'm going to click go to next on here real quick. All right, so once I click on the next section on here, all right, this is going to take me directly over to where we can now actually fill everything out. All right, so now we're going to have all of our standard options over here on the left-hand side that we can add in if we'd like to. So if you are utilizing a PDF, obviously you would have to do this. If you were utilizing any of the interactive forms or obviously any of the Market Center forms that have already been added in, these would more than likely already be interactive for you. All right, but in this case, if I need to add inside anything, maybe I just want to add inside a text box on here. All right, I can click text, and I can add it right up here, for instance. All right, and then of course you can drag this out to make it bigger or smaller. All right, whatever you would prefer on here. All right, now on the right-hand side, you are going to have your editable options too, whether it's a required field, if it's read-only on here. All right, just different items to help out. And then you can actually specify up here too as to who this is for if you happen to have multiple signees, basically. So in this case, it's just Scott Leroy, because that's the person that I have that I'm sending this to. So this is all their information on here. All right, but then we can actually go through and add inside any of these items. All right, so if I want to add inside the email, for instance, I can put inside email on here. I can put inside the phone number too. So in this case, I just want to put inside text. All right, we'll have multiple options to go through and tweak this even further. All right, a couple questions just came through. I am looking at them. So as the class goes on, I promise these are going to be answered on here too, because they're actually coming up very soon. All right, so you can actually go through. Unfortunately, the document that I chose on here is a larger one because it is 5 pages. So I'm just showing a couple items on here. Obviously, I'm not going to go through and tweak everything, but I just want to show you how simple it is to actually add that over too. All right, then of course you can add inside custom fields on here. All right, we can actually go through the notary fields too, markup or seal fields. So Ruth, the reason it doesn't automatically pull up the seller information is because this is actually just a PDF right now, but once this is sent off, it'll automatically pull that up immediately. So once I do send this off, it'll automatically show that email on here. All right, because I click on the recipient preview, for instance, this is what it would actually look like on, a desktop or laptop, on a tablet or a mobile device. And if you notice on here, it automatically pulls that information that we had over inside our backend section. All right, so I'm going to X out of this real quick. All right, and then of course, whenever you have actually gone through and tweaked everything, once again, not everything does have to be completed. All right, so I'm just adding in a couple items on here to show you how simple it is to add it in. All right, then we can click the send option at the top right up here. All right, and then that would allow us to send that over immediately. All right, so in this case, then you can actually see, all right, this was sent over. All right, it's now over inside our envelope section. So here's where it says waiting for others. All right, so we have our envelope on here. All right, we have the people that are added inside. And then, of course, the documents in that envelope as well, too, for them to actually go through and tweak. And, of course, we can always click on this at any time if we do need to edit anything. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, but that is how simple it is, actually, just go through and add inside a document. Now, once again, if you are under the document section and you click on the add button, if you happen to have DocuSign forms on here or interactive forms, all right, obviously from your association, that'll definitely make life a lot easier if it's already kind of pre-populated for you. So that way you can just go through and send that off immediately instead of uploading a PDF like I did on here to then get them to obviously upload every different item that we'd have to. All right, but adding inside a PDF, it is simple to do that. All right, and then of course on here I can even view the history as well. All right, so as we can see at 120, this is when it was created. Over here at 123, we created the envelope, and at 136, I'm looking at 123. 136, we created the envelope, and then at 140, we actually sent that off. All right, so you'll always be able to see the history on here too. So these 6 items up here are the main ones that you'll really want to focus on, just to help out a little bit further on here. All right, and these documents, whenever they are signed, they'll automatically come back over here, very similar to how they would have done over inside .loop 2. All right, but then this is how you can actually pull these documents over inside your opportunity section as well. All right, so a couple questions came in actually about, some different signatures, about how to change the, country and everything of that sort. So first thing first, up here at the top right, you also happen to have, in my case, I have an icon on here because I put inside my image or my logo. All right, but at the top right up here, this is going to be for your settings. So 9 times out of 10, if you're ever inside any type of platform, if you're in Command, if you're in Gmail, if you're in Facebook, all right, the top right, 9 times out of 10 is always going to be where the settings are. All right, so right up here, same thing. Settings are right up here at the top right. All right, then we can view our contacts. We can view our settings. We can switch back to e-signatures, which is basically the DocuSign.com kind of homepage area, or we can sign out. So in this case, for our rooms, all right, because we're currently under the real estate version of DocuSign, all right, I'm going to click on that settings option real quick. All right, once I click on settings underneath our rooms back in, all right, this is where we can actually update a good amount of items. All right, so first thing first, as you can see, we have our first and last name on here. That can't be changed back here, but I'll show you in a second where you can change that. All right, we have our role on here too of agent role. All right, obviously it's the agent owner on here, and then here are all the additional items the office has given us access to. All right, we can see the offices we're located under. All right, inside here too, we can actually go to our default office if you are part of multiple market centers. All right, you can put inside obviously the company website, you can change your time zone, and at the very bottom you can actually add inside your photo and your logo on here too. All right. Now over here, this is also where you can tweak your password as well a little bit further, and then even your contact information too. All right, so under the contact info, for the person that was asking about, popping up with the United States, all right, this is where we can actually go through and tweak our address on here right away. All right. Now, the other really big item I do want to show you guys is under inbox details on here. This is where you can actually find your inbound email address for DocuSign. All right, so your inbound email on here might have a bunch of funky, letters and characters right now, or maybe it's like your first and last name and then a bunch of letters and characters. You can change that to anything you want. All right, so in this case, you can actually send off this inbound email to automatically shoot your documents over to your DocuSign account without having to actually sign in. All right, so making it as simple as possible on here will make it the easiest method for you. So I made mine Scott Leroy Marketing and then @mail.docusign.net. So if I email any attachments, any PDF attachments over to Scott Leroy Marketing @mail.docusign.net, all right, those documents would automatically go under our document section. All right, so we can view them under My Docs on here. All right, they'd also come under the inbox first because we're emailing it to it, and then that's how it can be moved over. All right, so feel free to change your inbound email on here to anything you would prefer. All right, and then once you have that saved, feel free to click the Save Changes option on here to help out immediately. All right, now the other really big reason I suggest putting inside this email address on here is under our Rooms section. So I'm going to click back on Rooms real quick. All right, under our Rooms section, if we're actually going through this particular room that I had for 123 Main Street for Bruce Banner, hopefully it'll pop up in a quick second. All right, then I can actually use that inbound email address, all right, to send something over to my room directly. All right, so under the room, the reason I pointed out this ID on here, all right, so if you notice, copy and paste this room ID number into your email subject in order to send documents into this room. So you could actually send your documents as an attached PDF. All right, you could email it over to your DocuSign email address. So I'd send mine to Scott Leroy Marketing @mail.docusign.net. I would put this as the subject. All right, so my only subject I'd put inside there is hashtag or number sign 2712792 for this particular room. And then I would attach all the different PDF documents so it'll automatically come over here for you. All right, so that's another way to help out tremendously on here. Gotcha. All right, let me double check on that then because there's one other location that might update that immediately. All right, and of course, we obviously went through these 6 items on here very quickly, but then of course you also happen to have your dashboard. This popped up for a hot second. There we go. It's taking a little bit of time to pull up. All right, and this is where we can actually see all of our different documents, all of our different rooms on here. Thank you, I appreciate that. We can view any messages that we have on here as well. Looks like someone replied back, thanks. All right, any recent comments too, and then of course down here, any signing activity as well. All right, so this is all just going to be on our home page that we can take a look at. Our room section is obviously all those different loops or different folders, however you want to consider it now. All right, this is where it's going to be for each different transaction. On our inbox are going to be any of the messages that come over to your, @mail.docusign.net email address. All right, so as you can see, this is your inbox email address. Any documents sent to this address will be added to your inbox. And then, of course, you can always view all of your documents under the My Docs section, too. All right, so a question did come in. Will DocuSign allow us to create template folders like in .loop with certain forms grouped together, new buyer, new listings, everything of that sort? All right, so in this case, under the document section, you can actually add inside new folders on here, and then you can even add inside new documents, too, to kind of keep everything formatted on there. All right, so that'll help out tremendously. And then, of course, in this case, whenever your documents from your office or obviously from, the association you may have linked up with actually pop up on here, you can actually move those around, too. All right, so I just want to click on Forms, see if there's anything extra on here that I may have. Nope, nothing. Didn't think so quite yet. It looks like it's still coming in, unfortunately. All right, so that's just a nutshell back-end version of this for the 101 class. But then the other big item to really take a look at is once you click on, your picture up here at the top right, so that's why I have my little logo up there, and then you click on Switch to e-signature, this is what you'll actually get if you go to DocuSign.com directly. All right, so a little quick notation. If I go back to Switch to e-signature, this is your DocuSign.com homepage, not the real estate version, not the rooms, but the actual DocuSign.com homepage. Now, if you ever want to actually go over to your room section, you sign to DocuSign.com directly. Just click on your person icon up here and then switch to rooms. And that way you can access it immediately. But if we click on that person up here at the top right, now I'm going to click on this profile section because this is where you can update a couple of the items that you couldn't update inside the rooms. So much like if you're thinking of it like .loop, remember you had your account on .loop and then underneath your account. So if my account was under Scott at scottleroymarketing.com, then I could have multiple profiles under there. So that's where we're actually going to see those multiple different options for the rooms too. So on here, think of this like your account, so I can click on my profile section. And if you did need to change your name, this is where you can actually update it immediately. So in this case on here, we can actually update our name if we need to change that for the NRDS for it to populate properly. We can double check on our email address over here too. I'm not going to update it, but in case you do want to update your email address, you're definitely more than welcome to. Even further down, you have the company and title, and then of course the address and phone on here too. Now the top right up here, someone was asking about signatures earlier. I don't believe this is the exact signature you may have been asking about, but in this case, under the signature section, you can add inside a new one on here. Then this will actually just display, your name and your initials on here. I believe what you may have been asking about is like an actual signature at the very, very bottom. So this unfortunately will not pop up like that, but this is where you can actually add inside your name signature. And it'll pop up right away for you to see what it'll look like. So I'll just do the standard one on here. And then of course for language and region up here, this is where you can actually go through and tweak that even further too. So if you're muted at the top, and join me, there is an unmute option. Or I'll send this back over too. This is just a couple other items that you can actually update on your personal account inside DocuSign just to make sure that's set up properly. The biggest one I always like to point out is definitely the personal information for the name on here. Because once again, this has to mimic your MLS directly for those documents to actually come through your association. So you can do that. So someone just asked in .loop, I would typically modify all of my documents and then print them and take to the listing appointment. Can this be done in DocuSign? Is easy. So in this case, if you are going through to actually update any of the documents, you would still want to send off kind of that signature option on there. You could send it off, in this case, through the envelope. You could send it off with literally nothing on it if you wanted to. Or to tell you the truth, if you wanted to go inside here, if I click on the document section on here, then if I actually click on this, for instance, for the document that I'm utilizing, there is a download option. So if you want to go through and just download it to then actually hand out or anything of that sort, you're more than welcome to. Now, there's not a way to actually go through and modify it without clicking on the DocuSign option that we've seen so far. Because if I just click on this, for instance, or even if I right-click on it and click on Edit, it'll ask me which document do I actually want to edit on here. So if I click on that, which page on it. Unfortunately, it won't pull that up on here. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. This will then just pull up for you to actually go through and edit, but typically you'll want to send off that envelope, but you could just send it to yourself so that way you can actually go through and edit that immediately. So I'm trying to see if there's another additional way to update that, but that's the only thing I can see on here right now. It's mainly just to go through and DocuSign it. So the question about America settings in Canada, please let me know if this will actually work on here by switching back over to e-signatures and changing that over to Canada inside the settings section, because that's the main thing I can think of right now if it's not actually letting you update that inside the settings on here. Gotcha. Okay, I'll need to take a look at that then to see if I can find a workaround for you guys right away. All right, so we're coming close to the end of the class real quick, so there's one final thing I do want to show you guys. All right, so that's just kind of an overview of the DocuSign section back here. But then inside Command, hopefully this will pop up real quick. Come on, you can do it. I'm hoping it'll show up with those different options we need to add inside. All right, if not, there we go. All right, so this is what it's supposed to look like. All right, so it looks like it just took a little bit of time to come up. All right, so now if you notice, I've already accessed DocuSign, so now it says start a transaction, so we're perfect on there. All right, so that way I can automatically go over to DocuSign again. All right, down here under my residential one, currently inside this market center, there's listed, under contract, and close, all right, for the different documents you might need to add inside. All right, now each market center is going to be completely different as to how they have these checklists set up. All right, so at the end of the day, the ones that I actually have on here could be completely different than the ones that you have over inside your market center. All right, so on here, for instance, like we happen to have one exclusive right to sale agreement. So now I can click on add a file, because that's the one that I was working on real quick. And if everything is filled out and it's signed by that particular person, all right, once I click on add a file, then if you notice, I can manually upload this if I'm pulling it from a different platform, if you're still utilizing .loop, or if you're utilizing Form Simplicity or SkySlope, whatever it might be. All right, or I can pull it from DocuSign on here too. All right, so once I click on DocuSign, you'll notice I have my two different documents that have popped up, exclusive right to sale, and then the copy of it that I made. So I can click on this, and I can click Assign. So that way it'll automatically pull that over for me. And there we go. All right, so it's automatically added that in. It's an extremely long title, so it took over a little bit of the agreement option. All right, but it's automatically added that in. And if you notice on the left-hand side, it now says it's uploaded. And up here inside the opportunity, it says 1 of 8 documents have been uploaded too. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, so once again, in order to access DocuSign, first thing first, you'll typically want to go through agent.kdb.com through Command. All right, you'll want to ensure that you also happen to have DocuSign set up under your settings as a connected application. All right, and then DocuSign will always be accessible under the Opportunities section on here. All right, it'll always be accessible on there, so once you set up that opportunity like we did previously for this listing one, all right, right under the Documents section, all right, it'll typically say Start Transaction, but now it says Go to Transaction, so we can access the back end of DocuSign right away. All right, remember, it might ask you to sign in. All right, so if it does, just put inside your email and password for DocuSign so you can utilize that immediately. All right, so once again, DocuSign is basically working with Opportunities to be your complete compliance backend. All right, so DocuSign is basically just going to house the documents for obviously you to send out for people to sign, and then those will automatically go into the Opportunity section too. Yep, so a question just came in, can you skip Command and just go to DocuSign? You can. All right, so in that case, you can actually go to DocuSign.com and access this, but remember, when you go to DocuSign.com, typically, if you just go to DocuSign directly, it'll take you over to this section first when you first sign in. All right, so make sure that you click on the person icon up at the top right up here. All right, and select Switch to Rooms to access that further. Yep, and then if you already have the room set up, then you can move that over too. Awesome. So a question just came in, and to tell you the truth, I haven't actually deleted one quite yet, so let's see if we can do this. All right, so the question was about asking to delete an envelope. Let's see if that's a possibility on here. I have not tried that out real quick. All right, so I'm going to go to the envelope section, and let's double check. All right, so let's click on it real quick. All right, and it looks like there's not a delete option on here, but you can click on void. All right, so once you actually click on the envelope, in this case, I was about to say loop, envelope, all right, then you can click on the more option and go to void on here, so you can void that immediately. All right, and that'll void that particular envelope for you right away. All right, so that's going to be it for this DocuSign 101 class. All right, at the end of the day, that's just the basics of DocuSign to help you guys out immediately.